let's do that first. Just going to see, there's a couple other people just about to join. And without further ado, 15 most asked questions about digital marketing and social media. So let's ask and answer. Well, as always, we'll have the chat line operational. We'll be recording this, and so it'll appear on YouTube. You'll get a copy of the slides, and we have access there to social media for those of you who want to say something. And as always, we say for anyone who wants any bespoke help under the program, there's sort of fully funded or free, as we say in Yorkshire, help for anybody who wants it on a marketing. So without further ado, I'm going to have a bit of an indulgence. Just whipped forward a slide. Then I'm just going to I was just doing some baking this morning, just getting ready for Christmas, and this is what I managed to produce. So that was my I'm getting my mince pies ready. Oh gosh, isn't it? Is it only 60? As I said in the chat line, only 16 sleeps to go, and you know it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. I can feel a song coming along. Is it? You know, when you hear White Christmas, doesn't it send a tingle down your spine? You know, wasn't Bing Crosby great? Wasn't Bing Crosby great? I think it would have been even better if it'd been called Google Crosby. So right, let's move on. Gosh, don't you know? Don't you put a lot of weight on Christmas or eating? Actually, after Christmas, I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to start taking up running. I've entered a cross-country race in Wales. Competition's going to be really strong. It's really hard to keep up with the Joneses. So, actually, some familiar faces on the webinar today, and so I won't be offended. I won't be offended. Get to know each other last few months. You know, I don't want much for Christmas. Just any. You don't have to get me anything for Christmas at all. It's okay. I won't be offended. Just a smile is enough. Right. As always, a couple of people joining. So some last minute quiz time. Quiz time's coming. Oh, here we are. Pens at the ready. True or false? True or false? And you feel free to use the chat line. We'll be looking at about 93% of online engagements start from a search engine. So who would like to kick us off with that one? The answer, of course, is it is true. So people do try to endeavour to be on the front page. Now here's a good one. For each dollar spent on Google Ads, businesses make at least $2 in revenue. True or false? Who's on that one? Well, it is true. Number 3. Here we go. Amazon is the 3rd largest digital ad seller. True or false? Well, it's true because Google and Facebook are number 1 and number 2, but Amazon coming fast up on the rail. So you may wish to think about your product and your scenario fitting that particular marketplace. Just a very warm welcome to Susan and Jeanette who are joining us. How are we doing on the chat? Oh, false. We're doing all right. Number 4, average internet users spend 33% of their time on social media. Where do I get these from? Where do I get these questions from? What's everyone saying today? What's everybody saying? Well, is that true or false? It's true. All that time we spend, I think it's about 2 hours and 22 minutes, I think the latest, on social media during the day. Now, here we go. Here's an interesting one. Here we go. Prize for the most amusing answer. That's the answer. Now, what's the question? Now, come on. Who's up for this one on the chat line? Who's up for this on the chat line? It's a digital market. You know, there's my body double there as well, just a sort of slide to side. And for those of you who are Liverpool fans, well, you know, just sort of put that on the screen. So any answers there? We've got Oh, I can't see the time. The answer is this. It's got most Instagram. Last time I checked, and please feel free to prove I'm wrong. He has, I think, the most Instagram followers. There we go. YouTube provides, in question 6, YouTube provides higher engagement and a lower bounce rate than other social media tools. The most, I believe. Any suggestions on that one? True or false? It is true. Number 7. Here we go. Let's hope you got past this one. The average consumer's attention span lasts only 8 seconds. True or false? Well, it is true. It is true indeed. Now, next question. Well, I'm going to read that one out. It will in a moment, don't worry. I'm just going to actually, someone's got the microphone on, so I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to have to try and mute all the participants because I want it to be so nobody has their afternoon interrupted. So there we are. Now, next one. Less than 10% of search engine users view up to the 3rd page of results. Who goes beyond page 1? There we go. Who's on the chat line here? Well, not many. Less than 10%. The majority of people, and tell me if I'm wrong in your own behavior, stop on the 1st page. And there you are, question 10. Come on then. Anybody under 40 are going to know who that is. Who is that individual? To end our today's quiz. Come on, I'm on the chat line here. Who knows who that is? Anybody know who that is? Well, who's got that one right? Oh, Stuart Broad. Oh, Darden. Darden's the man. Emma Close. This is, I know. Jake Paul. What now? How many of you are thinking, who's Jake Paul? Well, I was thinking that a few months ago, but you'll know him to be a highly influential YouTuber, and he's preparing for a boxing match with none other than Floyd Mayweather. So, a highly influential YouTuber. So there you are, all about social media and digital marketing. So, here we've got these 15 questions, and we're going to start with social media. And an obvious, first up on our questions today, the one that's often most asked, which social media platforms should I use? Well, the answer to that one, I've shown this slide many times previously, is that there's over 2 billion users on Facebook, and you can work your way down the different platforms there. But fundamentally, the answer to the question is where your customers are. Marketing is quite simple. When you think about it, you're trying to deliver a message of your product or service to your customer base. So you need to know exactly where your customers are. So you may actually find that probably by hook or by crook, they will probably have you should have some degree of presence on Facebook. But then you'll think carefully about using some of the other platforms to actually fish in the same pond as your customers. And here's a more definitive answer for you. When you look at Instagram as an example, this will help steer you along. That 72% social media users between the age of 13 to 17 are on Instagram, and you can see the other percentages there. That you could make a case that if you're trying to target a female audience under the age of, say, under the age of 40, under the age of 49, you've got a fair chance of hitting the right demographic. So think about that, but also not think about just trying to target them, some influencers for you, not necessarily your customer base, might well be on there. So that's the first question. So which platforms to use? Up next, what type of content should I post on social media? How many of you often are sitting there thinking, I don't know what to post. I've got been correct, but I don't know what to post. So what type of content should you post? Well, there you are. There's the answer. Anything engaging. So yes, but ultimately it comes down to emotion and how you make others feel. First and foremost, a few little tips here, what the type of things that you may wish to post. First of all, think about trending topics. And here is a screenshot from today. So this is UK trends on Twitter. And probably your eyes are drawn to William Shakespeare, no less, and Margaret Keenan. So you may think that you want to trend, if trends, you may talk about that. Obviously, as you know, a very heartwarming story. For those of you who've been following the Margaret Keenan, well, the first UK citizen to receive the vaccine. And you know, I can't write this. You can't write this. I think I'm correct in saying William Shakespeare. I know this is not a comedy of errors. William, oh, much ado about nothing, but William Shakespeare, I believe, was the second person to receive the vaccine. So you may wish to choose that, and obviously look further down the list. Sad, isn't it? For those of you who were around, 40 years ago today was the day that John Lennon was murdered. So you may wish to think that you may tap in to trends that are in town, and obviously that's where, on the likes of Twitter, Instagram, etc., you may find your hashtags. We'll come back to hashtags. So behind the scenes. So you may think about that. So trending topics, behind the scenes. And here, this is an organization whereby they talk animals always do well on social media. Some of the friends of the company involved, and you know, endearing images. Think also about using branded graphics on social media. Often shown this, the use of Canva. Again, there's animal themes here relating to that. Dogs, about social distancing there, and there are many things, but Canva often is known, CANVA, as probably the best platform for creating many different graphics to use on your social media. Like to tell stories, don't we all? Won't we all like to hear stories? So even if you do some online bookkeeping, there's an opportunity to tell a story. We all love a good old story, don't we? And some of you like a little bit of humour, don't we all? So as an example of some photobombing kind of situation. So again, travel industry, telling humour. Now humour is obviously in the eye of the beholder. That's that's a mixed metaphor, isn't it? But humour goes down well, as we know. Well, I try anyway. Video is exploded in the way that people are using it online, and so I would, if you can't beat them, join them. For those of you who want a 1970s advertising slogan, Q&A, product tutorial, how to or explainer are classic ways. Even this bloke here, what was he thinking? He went to the Museum of Timekeeping, this gentleman did, and did a little post, and you'll see him every week pop up on social media at a different location with marketing tips from his travels. So there's lots you can do. Can't beat self-promotion, can you? Bit of self-promotion. Also, think about providing insight or tips in your social media. Here's a great example. Here, Larry Kim, going, an infographic in the mind, going to the mind of an entrepreneur. And so you can see, very engaging there. And look at the number of impressions there. 5,965 impressions. That's more than Mike Yarwood could do. All right. I know how many of you are under a certain age think that joke has just passed me by. It doesn't matter, but you can also, a natural thing is to think about the high engagement rate. So you're dividing the number of impressions by engagement. So you're getting good at that, but again, it's a very simple way in which to provide insight. Now, I do mention this regularly. Think about using your social media for remarketing. So here is a great example that you'll see it all the time. You've shopped on Cole Hand's website, and then all of a sudden you're onto Facebook, and what appears? An advert relating to Cole Hand. So One thing we're going to explore in far more detail in future webinars, a big topic in itself, but using Facebook pixels in your website and then retargeting your users, I would say is probably one of the best things in which you can think about how to use your social media. So remarketing, and then finally discounts and offers. Still, there's an expectation for many consumers that social media is the oasis for offers. So, first question, what should I use? How to use it? Quickly quick, because we've got 15 to go through. How often should I post on social media? I am now going to sit here quietly, have a little drink, and look on the chat line. So who tells me, and Garden's, I've got one, I made a wrong statement on a question. I'll come back to that one. So Darden's point about so either daily or every second day, Darden says. How often should you post on social media? Well, every day. What else have we got? I tell you what, Kevin, what an answer. As many times as can maintain engagement. Sal says regularly, but not drowning your audience. Fantastic. Thank you very much. All three absolutely on the button. Twice a week, max. Well, the answer is this. Who remembers him? Oh, you want this to carry on, do you? Oh, hang on. That is. Anyone know any takers there for a quick bit of trivia from the days gone by? Once a day is a little bit of postcard seaside humour. So much depends on what you are and who you're selling to, but I think I would encourage each of you to at least try and post once a day. And I'll go through some of the things in a little minute or two, because ultimately most surveys will tell you once a day is optimal, with a maximum, as many of you said, 2 posts a day. And it's clearly documented that if you have under 10,000 fans, I do, you can take a few notes off that actually, that you experience usually a 50% drop off if they post more than once a day. And as many of you said already on the chat line, it is quality over quantity. And nobody wants to be, I think we borrow Sal's phrase, drowning, or the person who gets deleted. So think before you press that magic button. Only post with a purpose. And I'm going to challenge you to think about each post you're doing. Who is it intended for? How does it entertain, educate, or benefit your potential user? What are you trying to influence? You've got like some kind of test there before you press the button. Otherwise, why? And ultimately, if you're checking your analytics, you'll see what posts have worked and what haven't. But you can be active in groups. So there's one thing to post once a day or twice a day, depending on your business, but to be active in groups. And LinkedIn and Facebook are still very powerful places to go in which to be active. So, how often should I post? What's up next? Here we are. How much time should one allocate social media marketing? Well, who's going to take a stab at that? Anyone on the old chat line? The answer is that 43% of business owners, that's nearly half, not half, spend 6 hours per week on social media marketing, which mathematically, I got no lovely maths, hard to believe, but that's 12 minutes a day. Doesn't make sense. Is that right? 12 minutes, 72, 5 day a week, makes it 70, 12 a day. So you've got a small amount of things, 6 hours a week. So you're thinking very much on those lines. I like the idea of half an hour at the start of the day, half an hour at the end of the day. But the key thing is often not just to post, please engage. Thinking about your one or twice daily post, but then to be engaging or sharing others' content. Okay, so off we and but critically, it isn't always just about just posting for posting's sake. It is about having a return on your investment. And on the screen now, you'll find, and you'll get a copy of the slides, you'll find a number of tools you can use to actually measure your return on your investment, because marketing is a science. So we want to make sure that you are actually getting a return. Come back to that a little bit later as well. Next question. When is the best time to post? Well. This slide here shows Facebook's global engagement. The dark colors show where there is the most engagement. So you quite rise, look at that and think, what does all that mean, Simon? Make it simple for me. There you go. So the best times on engagement is estimated, or not estimated, it is Wednesday, the middle of the daytime, and the best day itself, and the worst day is Sunday. Now, please take this. It is not one size fits all, but the numbers don't lie. That's when there is great engagement. So you may want to think about posting at certain times. Maybe choose what may be perceived to be a popular time or a most engaging time. Try those, because it is about your posting, not necessarily taking that. But these are quite a good steer. And they are not a dissimilar, but Instagram. You can see where the colors are not dissimilar. Again, and you're thinking it's leading out towards Wednesdays, but also Fridays being there as well, getting ready for the weekend, as we used to say. Again, often the worst day, Sunday. Twitter. Well, this is a slightly different animal. You could argue it's more of a news-led, quicker, and so you can see it probably tends to be slightly earlier in the day. Wednesdays and Fridays. Wednesdays the day. No longer half-day closing, for those of you who are old enough to remember that. And the worst day, again, is Saturday. So again, quite interesting variations. And I will, on this one, when I send you the slides, I'll send you a link to that particular survey, because I'll have a little look and see how it fits in for you. And finally, on our little list, LinkedIn. Again, by looking at that, you're probably making some judgments about where the dark colors appear. The best times: Wednesday mornings, Thursday mornings, Friday mornings, Wednesdays and Thursdays, and the worst day. What are we all doing on a Sunday? Are we like Erica Little, are we? For those of you old enough to remember that. So you can see where there's a variation. So think carefully about when to post and looking at your engagement in what works for you. Here we go. Question 6. What hashtags do I use? Well, I would steer you like this. 2 sites I'll share with you. One is in front of the very screen now. Great name, Hashtagify me. And the next slide will talk about Right Tag, R-I-T-E. And again, it all comes back down to science, looking at what works and what doesn't. You've got an idea on likes of Twitter, Instagram, etc. About what works, what doesn't, but some of yours will be very specific to you. 2 tools there you may wish to choose. If you were in the travel industry, you may go on to key hashtags like travel, and then look at what related hashtags apply. In this situation, travel, photo, tourism. So you may be mining hashtags that are around you. Also then looking at the numbers and looking what's going on there. Some great information, particularly now on LinkedIn, on hashtags, and using tools such as Hootsuite. Great place to go to look at hashtags as well, and that will also automate a lot of your use of them. But a key thing is also to look what your competitors are using. as well in terms of their tagging. So, next question. Which platforms use hashtags? Quite a common question that's asked. The answer is, now someone could easily say, I'll answer by all of them in terms of the most popular areas, even Facebook. And the key thing, particularly on using Facebook, is that it does make posts searchable, as you can see here, in the vegetarian and it's a place to go in which you actually search, as you will do on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, using hashtags. Now, it means that you can monitor trending topics and you can naturally engage. As you can see with the likes of North Face here, they're talking about what they're doing. It's a fantastic image, but again, hashtag never stop exploring. So you can see about the way that people are using that. So the hashtags are there, but one of the issues often is about the number of hashtags. And you can clearly see the engagement if drops, number of hashtags per post. So you can see by putting 1, 2, or 3 hashtags into a post. But I see too many posts, as you can see, the engagement rapidly drops. In Facebook, this is when there's a huge number of hashtags in the post. And sometimes it's easier to write a post, but write it first and add the hashtags in, so it's actually flowing through the post as opposed to parking them all at the end. So 1, 2, or 3 is probably the advice there. A good example here, Burt's Bees are using hashtags again, and they put it right at the end on its own paragraph, National Pollinator Week. You can include, they didn't choose to include them in the body of the text and put it in, but you can clearly see. And it is about the issue about your eyes not being able to take into account of all the hashtags if they're buried, 8 or 10 of them in the text. So, and with the likes of Facebook, when you go onto your insights, you can clearly see which posts have worked and where you've got your engagement. That will give you the insight into what is working and what is not. You can see that across all your platforms. Number 8, gosh, halfway through it. It's 2:30, so we're on schedule. What are the latest social media trends? Now, this slide has appeared before on a Tuesday afternoon, and this is taken from the first lockdown. Yeah, the first lockdown. Let's hope there's not a third. So people are reading more newspapers, watching more live TV, streaming more, but they're using social media more, using Facebook and using the likes of WhatsApp. So there is growth in social media, the amount of users there. And I have, again, forgive me, who've been here on Tuesday afternoon before, but it is very salient to have this on the screen. You can see the downloads of the apps. So you just go to the left-hand side, TikTok, Zoom, Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. Huge download. Zoom coming in on the rails there. And then you go over to the right-hand side, and you can clearly see there's 4 Facebook products that are the most active. So, as I mentioned previously, the use of Messenger for your social, not just for your social media, but if you have a business account, the likes of WhatsApp, a great way to talk to your clients. So that's the latest trends. The key thing on your trends is thinking that the real growth is in ephemeral content. What does that mean? Well, it's just short, sharp content. And you can see that the growth of Instagram stories. So it's this short amount of video content that is appearing, and all major platforms are now taking on board the short use of video. It's that sort of quick, as I put, it's freedom, whimsy, and spontaneity all wrapped into one little short package. It's sort of 10, 20, 30-second video clips. That's why using the story. It's putting the narrative behind your social media. And here's an illustration. If you're on Instagram, at the top in the circles is the stories. You can click on them and you'll see a lot going on. And you can, if you get a certain number of follows on Instagram, you can set up natural links and with the posts. I've shown this before. This is something that was put out by Mercedes. Again, just an Instagram post, not a story, but a quick thing about showing some of their latest designs. Often businesses are using social media to give customers a sneak preview of what's coming in a clever way of making it, very different drawings of some of their future designs, giving people an insight into the future. Even in most recent times, LinkedIn has come on board in stories. It's quite interesting looking at LinkedIn stories. I see very few businesses using them at this moment in time. It is early in the piece, 6 weeks or so in, not necessarily the right platform at the moment for people getting into it. So obviously they'll be using it in lots of different areas, but LinkedIn are even on board by using stories. As you can see, very similar on LinkedIn to on Instagram. Same principles, tagging in, use of GIFs, emojis, etc., all in there to adopting the same route. So each and every one of the major platforms, a lot of it driven by the likes of TikTok with the use of stories. And you can see that the number of posts on the feed are declining. So on Instagram, people are not necessarily posting static photos anymore. The photo is being superseded by the video. The other thing that's growing in a social media trend is the development of social commerce. The trend is that, as it said, about nearly 90% of e-commerce shoppers are influenced by social media. A lot of people are selling through Facebook. Merchants, businesses are using social media to generate sales. So, and you can buy from Instagram. A business account on Instagram, you've got the most cheapest, quickest, fastest way if you want to sell online. Sell on Instagram, sell on Facebook. You can use the marketplace, but you can actually have a product purchased through the app itself. The idea for the social media platforms is they want you to stay on their app. So that social commerce and Shopify, well-known e-commerce platform, is now fully integrated with TikTok. So that you can get the two talking to each other. If you're going to invest in the e-commerce platform, Shopify being the go-to for many people, and if you've got a product service that suits the TikTok marketplace customer base, they now talk to each other. Right, next question. That's all the most popular questions on social media. Let's address some of the questions now relating to email marketing. Is email marketing still relevant? Well, key thing about emails, two key things there is that it does generate better results than most marketing channels. You are engaging and retaining with customers. It does have high scores in that regard. An example here is that when selling out, they are giving a direct message to a known client. Direct message to a known client if you're segmenting your data correctly. Email marketing still has its place. And the difference usually with email marketing over social media, a lot of platforms, you are usually compelling your audience to act. What does that mean? Well, they've got a choice, haven't they? You can unsubscribe, you can open it, you can not choose to open it, but it's going to arrive in someone's inbox. And if you are measuring correctly, you'll see what's happened. Whereas with other like social media, there is no compulsion to act. I think that's probably the biggest benefit of using email marketing. Examples such as this, recipes and clicking through, a great way in which to use for a food-based business or restaurant, whatever it might be, food supplier, to encourage people to act. You're always wanting them to click to do something else, and you can always measure it. The thing, it can be personalized, and it's probably one of the best tools to bring traffic to your website. So you want people to click through. Email, you can see heavy slide, but post March the 9th, when we probably hit the nadir in terms of financials, lockdown, etc., there's been a growth spike upwards in email marketing and 250% increase in sign-ups and subscriptions. So you can see it's having its place, but there are brands are selling less, sending out less email. More people are signing up, companies are sending less out. You are actually, to use a fishing analogy again, the pond has shrunk, there's better opportunities in which to fish potentially. So I would encourage the likes of email marketing as long as you're GDPR compliant. So, leads on to the next question. How often should I be sending out emails? Number 10. Well, you're not interested to know the number one reason for unsubscribing from a list is too many emails. So you can see that nearly 70% of people unsubscribe because of a flood of messages. A bit like the pub bore we mentioned earlier, and flooding of social media. Well, email applies as well. So clearly see, a bit like using hashtags on Facebook and about posting on social media, quality content beats quantity. A natural drop off for the open rates for the number of emails sent out. The open rates tend to drop relative to the number of emails being sending out. So be mindful. Again, I can't really say once a week, etc., but once a month, whatever it might be. But it's knowing your audience, looking at your engagement rates, and you're making a judgment about what works. And naturally, the frequency of the email marketing does depend on the quality. Here is not a great slide, but this is a gaming organization, and look at the content. They are the illustration. That is the same message that's been slightly repackaged, but they're using different headlines to deliver, in effect, very similar messages. You can see by looking at that there, they're experimenting by using lots of different descriptions, and we'll come on to this. A lot of them are short and sweet, but the idea is that all of them are intriguing. So you're thinking that each time you're sending out an email, it's a new opportunity to present what may be a familiar message in a different way. But other ways here, like this wine business have you chosen, just to say subscribe for occasional email updates. What a lovely way of doing it, rather than the pop-up that people resent. It's there, the opportunity to subscribe just for occasional email updates. You are fulfilling, hopefully, and setting your customers' expectations. So, next question, number 11. What makes a great marketing email? Again, you've probably seen in the gaming illustration, and right now, a small number of words in the email subject line, and the optimum, well, you can see it there, 6 to 10 gets the most open rates. So none of these long descriptions, 6 to 10 words is probably where you want to be aiming, but I'm not saying 16%, but not writing your life story is probably the wrong thing to do. Now, this GIF here appeared in an email newsletter. So you can be creative. And so this restaurant here, this food business, what do you call it here? So there's humor in there. What do you call a burrito? And they've got the GIF in there. They are being highly creative. We've been telling a story. Look how cleverly formatted it is that they used a GIF. You may wish to take a chance thinking about that with your email marketing. So, some quick tips. Nail your subject line. That sense of urgency, make it intriguing, use emojis. You know, here, a really simple one came into my inbox last week. The Joseph Rowntree Theatre, York. You know, Simon, have you heard? 4 letters, question mark. We're open. We're back for business. The wait is over. Straight, simple message. You've seen all the examples I've chosen about formatting, making it easy to read. Half of them at least are going to be open in a mobile. So you want to get the spacing right, any image discrepancies so they're clearly seen in a mobile format as well as desktop format. The copy should be scannable so you can clearly look at it and see hopefully what it's all about. So much the same as a Joseph Rowntree. Headline, bullet points, short and sweet paragraphs, keywords, bold. We are open, we're here. That was the message there. And the dynamic content, using the likes of the nachos, burritos, the GIFs, whatever it might be, images. You've seen it here. This is straight out. Often use this as an analogy for a lot of your marketing. It applies to your email and your website and social media. Image, headline, and a little bit of controversy, you could argue there. The newspapers are quite good to follow. Play on words. It all ends in tears. So you can see it's intriguing. And you may look at the newspapers are quite a good one to follow if you can capture hopefully the same maybe controversy or sit up and take notice kind of situation. So dynamic content, but critically, always, always, always have a call to action. So in this situation, you're encouraging people to download now, the book now, but in your email marketing. So that was question, and now we're not question 12. Okay, what is content marketing? One of the most asked questions. Well, it is usually in a situation where you're staring at the screen, but I'll show you some illustrations why. So it focuses on the consumer's needs. So in effect, you're creating valuable information to give out to the customer. This is classically inbound marketing. You are creating something of interest for people to come to. So what you will do with your content marketing, the idea is to attract people, to engage, and to delight them. So you want them to be attracted, you want to engage them and delight. And the whole principle often we've seen about using it in social media to a lesser extent. You could argue email marketing is outbound marketing, but you can still follow the same principles about trying to attract, engage, and delight. In content marketing, probably the most common uses are blogs, now often vlogs, the use of video, which again is a hybrid there, mentioned already infographics, and there is certainly, we've seen this year, a growth in the use of podcasts. We don't have a question 13. Question 12 and a half, a bit like going in an aeroplane, never have row 13. So do I need to create content all the time? Well, the answer to that is how often, people say, how often do I blog? Google would like your website to remain fresh and updated. So you may choose probably to blog on a fairly regular basis. What is your version of regular is probably It takes a long time to write a post. It's estimated somewhere 3-4 hours to write 500 words. So you're often writing guides, solutions, testimonials, promotions. So it's taking you 4 hours to write something. So you're thinking that maybe you're a small business, to answer the question, to probably blog probably at least once a month. If you create 500 words with images associated with that, you can do so much with it. People read blogs online. You get more leads from it. You get more inbound links, all from blogs. Here is a fantastic example of the Liverpool. Sorry, I had to show a picture of my back garden. Please forgive my indulgence. We've got a bird bath, but you know, a bit of a. So, can you put an in-ground pool in a small backyard? You might realise that it's an American. But they're writing a blog, they're putting it on their website, but they're asking a question. Very engaging. But if you write a blog, you can put it on your website. You can link to it from all your social media platforms. You can guest blog elsewhere. You can use part of the blog to put on the likes of Facebook, LinkedIn as a part blog. You can do so much with the content. You can repackage some of your older content and update it. There's a whole list of things that you can do with a blog. But again, the blog applies having a great image, a question, and answering it. And here was an example from the summer Ben and Jerry's blog, 4 milkshakes, summer milkshakes that will make your day. And it's question, answer. And you probably see a familiar theme here. For the newspaper example, great image, headline, and then content underneath. Please try and blog at least once a month. Final question. What? 2 questions to go. What makes a great website? Well, believe it or not, that is a company's website. Hopefully it has changed, but that was the front page of a company's website. Whoa! 3 things to think about your website. Time doesn't allow us today, but make it visually pretty, technically correct, and then to have tools in place to make it better. We're only allowed, because we've covered this in previous webinars, that think about the visual aspects. Remember that 8 seconds, that people's attention span, and normally with a website you've probably got 2 or 3 seconds before people choose to click to do something else. Think of this way, that your website should make you think. There should be some form of interaction, fun, ingenious interaction, phenomenal photos, alliteration, and ideally to show people that something they've not seen before. Try and differentiate yourself in some way. Whatever it is, to use the fishing analogy, you want people to want to be hooked, click to do something else. But ultimately, it's about the user experience. I would ask each and every one of you, if you haven't done so already, get some objective person to look at your website, that first user experience, that first feeling, those first few seconds, to see what they think. And so, does it grab? Does it engage? Does it make people want to buy? Grab, engage, and buy. Because majority of people judge a website's credibility on how it looks. It's the images, the spelling, the whole initial appearance. Seriously unsweetened front page of their website. They're building a brand with a dramatic image. The real advantage of this is it's thought-provoking, they're building a brand, and by definition, it loads very quickly. So sometimes less is more. It's the 2-second test, the second test. Think about it from that sense, that People, you want to grab people in those 2 seconds. Like the serious unsweetened have achieved that. So, to conclude this afternoon, the final question, number 15 to 1, this, if you remember that program, the best digital marketing tip I can give you is this. Oh, should we have a drum roll? I don't have a drum roll. Actually, just got some sad news on my phone, actually. The Michelin Man has retired. Right. The best digital marketing tip is to think of your marketing, as I've alluded to earlier, as a science. 3 scientists there. We'll ask you to name them all, but feel free to do that on the chat line. Think of your marketing as a science. So my advice to you is to think about making yourself knowledgeable on Google products. So, for example, you're looking at your website, you want to know about your Google Analytics. How many people are coming to site, what they're looking at, where they're going, what they're doing. Likes of Google Trends is a place to know what people are looking for. If you're selling online, shopping insights. If you want to know about your website's performance, page speed insights, and the search console are the places to get to know, to see how search engines are looking at you, but also to see how the website is performing. What it comes down to is that you would like a return on investment and to know clearly in your marketing what's working and what's not. What's working and what's not. So when you choose to spend some money, whatever you're doing, even if you're doing direct mail or anything, email marketing, social media, what's worked and what hasn't. And if you don't know the answer to that question, you won't know if you've succeeded or not. So whatever you do in terms of your social media, email marketing, all digital marketing, think about how is it measured. And that concludes today's webinar. 15 questions. And so it is now time for a little afternoon tea. As I mentioned, we have the marketing one-to-ones, we have the slides, and we have next week. We don't have next week. We have tomorrow to look forward to. Tomorrow is all about marketing campaigns for free. So there'll be lots of tips about how to put together a marketing campaign, and as in typical Yorkshire style, all the things that you can do for free. So there will be a little overlap with today, but you can see we'll cover about thinking about how to run your campaigns. And now it is time to stop sharing, and it is to go to the chat line and to see, answer any questions, which I'm going to go back to. So we had, right, Darden has asked, are hashtags as necessary as they used to be? It seems like marketeers and businesses are leaning away from using 1,000 hashtags from posts. Absolutely right. Not having a small number of hashtags, and even to create your own hashtags, it's still the best way of engaging. Are Reels taking over on IG? Great point. There is a Stories and Instagram Reels. They're both in the early stages on Instagram. Jury's still out. Kevin asks, a bigger question should be, snail mail is still relevant. eBay sent me 5 emails a day, now I've deleted them. Interestingly enough, this one, I would argue that direct marketing, direct mail, still is relevant. We like to receive a letter, but it has to be carefully targeted and followed up. I still go back to the story. The last company I worked for, where I was general manager for a business, one day I received a child's Wellington boot in the post. And on the side it was a sticker, and it said, now I've finally got my foot through your door. What did I do next? I picked up the phone to the marketing agency who sent me that. They grabbed my attention, and they then were commissioned to do work. Clever, innovative, doing things differently. Think about email marketing works, but direct mail marketing as well. Garden's asked, do you receive these slides in an email? Yes, you'll get those tomorrow. Philip, thanks. Thank you for the kind words. What's the best way of getting a big email list? Create your own, but you can buy them, but make sure that they are GDPR friendly and they've also been well looked after and are relevant. So hopefully that's answered any questions. Helen and Dawn have thanked me for today, so that's good. I will send you the check in the post as always for your kind words, and Philip as well. So unless there are further questions, I will bid you adieu. And if you would like to darken my door tomorrow afternoon, please feel free to do so. Got some new material to put in front of you. If not, I will see you sometime, hopefully in the future. Without further ado, au revoir.